8 herdsmen killed in a suspected reprisal attack at Zankole in the Yendi municipality of the Northern Region.
A campaign to engender social behavior change to prevent flooding.
Kwewu comes alive in preparation for Easter festivities.
And in the foreign front, floods kill more than 250 in South Africa. Hello, good evening. Welcome to News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. We are also live on GTV, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Michelin Taka. I am Rahmatu Mahmoud Jawando with Robert Frimpon Manso to do the sign language.
You're welcome. At least 8 herdsmen have been killed in a suspected reprisal attack on Zankole, a herder community in the Yendi municipality of the Northern Region. The attack follows the killing of a teacher of Dagban State Senior High School, Mr. Jacob Koila, in a suspected armed robbery attack at Zagban on the Yendi-Zabzugu Road this morning.
Angered by the killing of the teacher, some locals mobilized the killing at least 8 herdsmen. Sources in Yendi have told GBC News that herder communities in the area are living in fear and have therefore appealed for protection. The Northern Regional Police Command has confirmed the attacks, saying they are deploying personnel to the area to restore law and order.
The Supreme Court has, in a majority 5-2 decision, ruled that Asen North MP Mr. James Jache Kwesen can no longer perform parliamentary duties. This is until the determination of the substantive case filed against him at the Supreme Court.
A Cape Coast High Court in July 2021 nullified the election of Mr. Kwesen after it found he owed allegiance to Canada when filing his nomination forms to contest the post. This decision was taken in a petition brought before the Supreme Court by Michael Ankuma Nimfa, a resident of Asimbreku in the Central Region. Mr. Ankuma Nimfa had earlier secured a judgment at the Cape Coast High Court overturning the election of Mr. Kwesen as null and void, but the embattled legislator ran to the Court of Appeal to have the decision set aside. Mr. Ankuma Nimfa is challenging the eligibility of Mr. Kwesen as the MP for Asen North, following allegations that he held dual citizenship prior to contesting the MP position. Although the Court of Appeal dismissed his case, Mr. Kwesen subsequently went to the Supreme Court to have his issue resolved. Michael Ankuma Nimfa also dragged the issue to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation of Article 94, Clause 2A of the 1992 Constitution. In the same case, Michael asked the Apex Court to place an injunction on Mr. Kwesen from holding himself as the MP for Asen North until the final determination of the case.
And the Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, says he is satisfied with the position of the Supreme Court on the matter. Reacting to the ruling after court, Mr. Yeboah-Dame told journalists that the order restraining Mr. James Jache Kwesen from carrying himself as MP for Asen North or performing parliamentary duties is a sound application of the principle of law established by the Supreme Court. Also expressing their opinion on the 5-2 decision of the Apex Court were lawyer for the petitioner, Mr. Frank Davies, and also a member of the legal team for Mr. Kwesen, Mr. Baba Jamal.
And for me, it's an affirmation of long-established principles by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has in earlier cases decided the proper time for reckoning whether a person is qualified to contest for Parliament is the opening of nominations, the period between the opening and close of nominations. If within that time they're not qualified, you cannot be qualified at all later on. So for me, this is a sound application of a principle of law that's long been established by the Supreme Court in Yeboah against J.H. Mensah way back in 1987 to 98, and then the recent Senator Rallies, where Atukuba established clearly that it is the opening of nominations that should be the determining factor as to whether a person is qualified to stand for election or not. And I think that there ought to be even application of the law. There ought to be an equal application of the law. The same fate befell. He was not qualified at the time that nominations were opened, and we don't know what happened to him. He was subsequently declared ineligible, and for that matter, his seat was taken away. So there ought to be even application of the law. If it happened to Damu Domansa, candidate of the MPP, yes, it also has to happen to a gentleman of the NDC who has also fallen foul of the same law.
The right of representation is steeped in law. You can't have an illegible person running around as a member of parliament for a constituency when he is not. It obviously leads to a mutilation of the sovereign will of the people of Assembly. They are better off now without someone who is parading as a member of parliament whilst he is not, whilst we await the decision of this court. The mere fact that they don't have to quote a member of parliament at this time does not in any event strip them of what they are entitled to as citizens.
This is a sad day for all of us. That if what it means is that Asenov is also not going to have representation in parliament for as long as this case lasts. That is a sad situation, because there are presidents in this country. We all remember the case in Ayawaso, West Woburn, where the lady was allowed to stay in parliament until the final day of the determination of the case. So I thought that the Supreme Court will consider that situation and allow a representation. You see, this is a representation matter. If people have voted for a person, this is a representation matter. They deserve representation in parliament. And so we thought that we could still have a representation in parliament. But that is what the Supreme Court has said. The legal team will meet, of course, and also officially know that.
More than 100,000 young people across the country will, over the next 5 years, be engaged in the National Youth Volunteers Program. This will be an institutional framework to modernize volunteerism and ignite the spirit of selflessness. The program was launched by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, at Kumasi in the Ashanti region. The program, organized by the National Youth Authority under the auspices of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Volunteer activities over the years have played significant roles in the development of the nation from community to the national level. One of the critical issues facing youth development in the country is in the area of volunteerism. This has resulted in the uncoordinated manner of voluntary activities in the country. The National Youth Volunteer Program, NYVP, a flagship program of the National Youth Authority, is set on the theme Mobilizing Youthful Hearts for Volunteer Services in National Development. The NYVP is designed to coordinate volunteer activities in the country and seeks to implement 13 modules with an objective of developing active citizens, foster national cohesion, and create opportunities for skills development among the youth. The program is envisaged to empower over 100,000 young people across the country in the next 5 years. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei Mensah, pledged the support of the Regional Coordinating Council to make the program efficient. The Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority is Mr. Pius Enam Hajide.
We have embarked on this process because we believe that lodged deep in the heart of the Ghanaian youth is a desire to see this country prosper and a zest to partake in the action which will bring about that prosperity.
The Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Mr. Ernest Osei-Bobie, said the ministry will continue to build the capacity of the youth to enable them completely take up the mantle of leadership in future. The Chief of AYAC, Nana Adai Jamra, who represented the Asante Inotumfo Tutu, said the program will enable the youth develop the spirit of volunteerism and contribute their quota towards national development. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, noted that the program will create a generation of Ghanaian political and thoughtful leaders.
The main goals of the National Youth Volunteer Program: to develop active citizens, to foster national cohesion, because you can volunteer in any part of the country. You can go and teach from any part of the country. You can move from Ashanti and you have the skills, and there's a need in Volta, you can go. There's a need in the Upper West, you can go. You can go from the Upper West and go to OT to offer a service. It gives national cohesion.
Young persons between the ages of 18 to 35 years will have the opportunity to volunteer in areas such as agriculture, education, health, afforestation, community self-help program, gender mainstreaming, among others.
The Ghana National Fire Service is urging the public to celebrate Easter without fire outbreaks. It has launched to ensure safety during Easter celebrations and beyond. Dubbed Operation Prevent Fires, Save Lives and Property. It seeks to prevent fire outbreaks or to bring it to the minimum bearing in the country before, during and after Easter season. Earlier, the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Mr. Timothy Osafo Efum, was in the studio to throw more light on the campaign.
Looking at the past, we have recorded incidents that supposed not to occur. And this is as a result of carelessness and then ignorance. And then these are the incidents that this time around we want to prevent them from occurring. Of course, when they occur, citizens lose their property, and in extreme cases we lose certain lives. And so we want to prevent these type of incidents from occurring this time around. And so for the first time in the history of the Ghana National Fire, all commanders, from the regional to the district commanders, everybody is to stay at post. All fire appliances that are out of commission have been repaired and are in commission. Those that have not been able to repair, regional commanders are to put in place contingency measures to ensure that places that don't have fire covers now are covered. Then personnel are also to be put on alert. Now what is happening is that during occasions like this, you see only those personnel on duty that are there. So where there is a need to reinforce for backup, it becomes difficult because we are not in barracks. Therefore, all personnel are also to be on alert for any eventuality. Then again, we have reinvigorated our educational campaigns, and we have reinforced the campaigns who are also going around strategic locations for public safety education. There is no way a fire tender will move from a station to an incident scene without water. What normally happens is that the water in the fire tender can operate sometimes within a maximum of 3 minutes. The water is exhausted. So because our towns are not properly planned, that is why people see us that way. If it is properly planned, every 100 meters in residential and industrial areas, you find fire hydrants planted, fully charged. So you don't open a fire hydrant without water flowing.
And is that what is happening now?
That is what is happening now. Now, yes. We don't have the hydrants planted. Where even you have the hydrants planted, you don't have water flowing. Sometimes the water is flowing, but the pressure is such that it cannot fill the tank. So you need to go to areas that you can have high pressure to fill. So that's about the water issue.
It's News Hour. The rains are just about setting in, and this is the time that drains are washed with waste. It is to engender the needed change and prevent flooding that an initiative dubbed Social Behavior Change Campaign has been launched in Accra. The campaign, under the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development GARID project, is spearheaded by the Ministries of Works and Housing and Water and Sanitation.
Poor urban planning and development, indiscriminate disposal of waste and inadequate drainage facilities are some of the major causes of flooding in Ghana. The Social Behavior Change Campaign is therefore crafted to help prevent flooding in the Odo Basin and to improve drainage, manage waste and provide services and infrastructure in priority flood-prone informal settlements within the basin. This is expected to mitigate flooding and its effect on human lives.
Our component is to build a new landfill site at Aida. We are also to do one transfer station. We'll also have centers for buyback products like plastics, and also the capping of the old dam site at Abloraje.
This campaign will take place in communities within the Odo Basin, basic schools, market centers, religious gatherings and lorry terminals along the Odo catchment. The Minister for Works and Housing, Mr. Francis Asensubuachi, said violators of bylaws will be punished.
The project has made good progress, and works will commence in June with the performance-based dredging of the Odo and its tributaries.
To encourage citizens to do the right thing, the cleanest market and lorry park in Accra will receive awards during the project implementation period. The GARID project is being carried out in 17 metropolitan and municipal assemblies in Accra. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
The new Patriotic Party has announced dates for its upcoming constituency, regional and national elections ahead of the party's Delegates Congress. Briefing the media after the National Executive Committee meeting in Accra, the General Secretary of the party, Mr. John Boydu, said nomination forms will be made available on the various social media platforms. He cautioned all those who will be vying for positions in the internal elections to follow the tenets of the party and conduct themselves to depict their readiness to serve.
The National Executive Committee decided that the constituency elections will be held between Thursday, 28th of April to Monday, 2nd of May. Nominations will be open and closed between 19th and 20th of April. Vetting of prospective aspirants will be held on 21st to 22nd of April 2022. If there is any appeal or redress, it will also be heard on 23rd to 24th of April. It must also be noted that practice notes will be given to the constituencies as to the album that they have to use. So prospective aspirants, when they go to their constituencies, after the nomination has been opened, they will have access to the album in order for them to also go through the album. The positions to be contested for at the constituency level are as follows: the constituency chairperson, constituency first vice chairperson, the second vice chairperson, constituency secretary, constituency assistant secretary, constituency treasurer, constituency organizer, constituency women's organizer, constituency youth organizer, and constituency Nasara coordinators. The elections of the regional officers will be held in May, between 27th to 29th of May 2020. We'll be opening and closing nomination between 15th and 20th of May 2020. Vetting will be done 21st to 22nd of May. Appeals and resolution, if any, will be done between 23rd and 24th of May. The elections will be held between 27th and 29th of May. With that of the national officers elections, as you've noted already, it will be held between 14th to 16th of July 2020.
The People's National Convention, PNC, has welcomed a directive from an Accra High Court for their ousted leader and chairman, Mr. David Apasera and Moses Daniba, to seek internal solutions to their problem. This follows the removal of both the leader and chairman from their positions in the party on grounds of misconduct and financial misappropriation, of which the duo took the matter to court to seek for nullification of their removal. At a news conference in Accra, the General Secretary of the party, Madam Janet Asana Nabla, asked the rank and file of the party to accept the court order, bury their differences, and continue to support the current leadership led by the Governor, Bala Salu Meikankan.
On 7th September 2021, the PNC removed David Apasara and Moses Daniba as leader and chairman, respectively, on grounds of misconduct and financial misappropriation. The duo took the matter to court to seek for nullification of their removal. The party put up a strong defense and moved the court to direct the duo to use and exhaust the party's internal dispute resolution to seek for their reinstatement. See Article 67 of the PNC Constitution. On Monday, the 11th of April 2022, motion and subsequently directed the plaintiffs to come back to the party to seek redress. The party welcomes this directive from the court. As a political party, we are asking for numbers. We are not fighting Mr. Apasara and Mr. Daniba. As I have said, they are our brothers, and we wouldn't want to fight them. We wouldn't want to fight them. We want them to be part of us. We want them to come back to their party. We want them to know that whatever we did was to make sure that we're shaping them for the better, not for the worse. So they should not hold it against any of us that it was witch hunting. Never, never. We won't do that to them. They are still our brothers. They've contributed immensely for this party, the growth and everything. They were our MPs. And we still appreciate them. We still appreciate them. We want them to come back and follow the party structures so that we can get a resolution to this problem.
The family of the late Mrs. Emily Ekufu has officially informed the President Nana Akufo-Addo of the passing of the wife of the late head of state, Lieutenant General Frederick William Kwesi Ekufu. Mrs. Emily Ekufu was the first lady at the time that Ghana moved from driving on the right-hand side of the road to the left. President Akufo-Addo promised a dignified burial for the late former First Lady.
Mrs. Emily Ekufu was Ghana's First Lady from July 1, 1978 to June 4, 1979. He was the wife of Lieutenant General Frederick William Kwesi Ekufu, Ghana's 7th head of state. He became head of state after he led a coup on July 5, 1978 to overthrow the then head of state, General Ignatius Kutu Champon. Mrs. Emily Ekufu passed away April 2022 at the age of 88. The family was at the Jubilee House to officially inform President Akufo-Addo of her passing.
We are here with very deep and heavy heart and regrettably announce the passing to eternity of Mrs. Emily Ekufu, also known as Ama Udra, on Friday, 8th April at 10:25 p.m., a few hours before her 88th birthday.
A daughter of Mrs. Emily Ekufu, Barbara Ekufu, was grateful for the support from the president to the family when Mrs. Emily Ekufu was infirm.
We, the children of Mrs. Ekufu, would like to say a very big thank you to you. You have always been there for us. In our time of need, you were always there for us. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, You were very busy, very, very busy, but you made the time to come and see Mum and spend a few minutes with her. We thank you so much.
Nana Akufo-Addo said Mrs. Emily Akufo played her part in the nation's development and deserves a befitting farewell.
But then there it is. We're all called one by one to meet our Maker, and her time has come. I think our responsibility is to do her honor as the wife, the widow of a former head of state of our country, a woman who made a big contribution in her own right, the development of her hometown, to Akropong, and to our country. And we will make sure that whatever assistance the state can provide, the Chief of Staff is here, will be done so that she can be given a dignified exit.
Mrs. Emily Akufo was a teacher by profession. After the death of her husband in 1979, she spent her remaining years in her hometown, Akuapem Akropong, in the Eastern region.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News. Time to make way for business.
Welcome to Business, brought to you by QNet and Quick Credit. My name is Morris Ogbete, and our very first story, inflation now hits 19.4% from 15.7% in February. This represents an increase of 3.7% and the highest since 2009. Transport, food and housing were the main drivers of inflation, recording the highest rate of 27.6%, 22.4% and 21.4% respectively in the month of March.
The domestic money bank's income statement by the Bank of Ghana indicated that the banking industry improved year on year, evidenced by the decline in non-performing loans NPLs ratio, despite the nominal increase in the stock of NPLs to 8.1 billion Ghana cedis in February 2022 from 7.3 billion Ghana cedis in February 2021. The decline in the NPL ratio was on the back of a slowdown in the growth of the NPL stock to 11.2% from 15.1%, while the stock of loans, which forms the base of the NPL ratio, recorded a higher growth of 18.3% from 3.6% during the same review period. When adjusted for the fully provisioned loan loss category, the Bank of Ghana said the industry's adjusted NPL ratio also declined sharply from 6.6%.
Between February 2022 and March 2022, non-food inflation rose by 2 percentage points.
You're still watching Business live on GBC News. Let's go back to our earlier story. Inflation for the month of March is now 19.4%. It rose from 15.7% in February.
The domestic money bank's income statement by the Bank of Ghana indicated that the banking industry's asset quality improved year on year, evidenced by the decline in non-performing loans NPLs ratio, despite the nominal increase in the stock of NPLs to 8.1 billion Ghana cedis in February 2022 from 7.3 billion Ghana cedis in February 2021. The decline in the NPL ratio was on the back of a slowdown in the growth of the NPL stock to 11.2% from 15.1%, while the stock of loans, which forms the base of the NPL ratio, recorded a higher growth of 18.3% from 3.6% during the same review period. When adjusted for the fully provisioned loan loss category, the Bank of Ghana said the industry's adjusted NPL ratio also declined sharply from 6.6% to 4.9%, one of the lowest ratios the industry has recorded in a long time. The lower NPL ratio came on the back of a decline in the private sector NPL ratio to 15.3% in February 2022 from 16.5% in February 2021, with the public sector NPL ratio doubled to 6.4% from 3.2% during the same reference period.
And that story rather has to do with the fact that banks wrote off 349.36 billion Ghana cedis off as bad debts in the month of February. The amount is lower than the 364.46 million Ghana cedis recorded in February of 2020. Let's look at the bank forex markets, where the dollar is now trading at 7 cedis and the pound sterling is going for 9 cedis 27 pesos. The euro is selling at 7 cedis 72 pesos. And that was business brought to you by QNet and Quick Credit. The news will continue with energy after this break. Stay with us.
Ago! Listen, I have good news for you.
Kilowatts to 120 kilowatts to generate more power onto the national grid. The chief executive of We Power Authority, Mr. Kofi Jamesi, said the authority is working out the modalities towards the expansion project. He said this on his first working visit to the Chachadu generating station at Alabanyo in the Volta region.
The micro hydropower plant known as the Chachadu Generation Station was inaugurated in November 2020. The plant, situated on the Chachadu waterfalls in the Hohoe municipality, the plant situated on the Chachadu.
We run 45 kilowatts here, and the future plan is to increase it to around 120 kilowatts. The question is it feasible? And two, is it feasible? So once we are able to answer these two questions, then we'll go ahead and increase power generation here up to the 120. Blue Power has put it in the budget to do it, so there's funding for it. It also depends on the payment from ECG. You know that all the power generators, we take some of our monies from ECG. So we pray that from now till the project starts, according to our plan, ECG should be able to, deliver the payments, and then we'll be able to do it.
We apologize for poor sound quality. To our next story. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh says the Ghana National Petroleum Authority (GNPC's) decision to increase its stake in AKE and AGM blocks is to rake in more petroleum revenue to the state. Government last year decided to acquire more shares in the Deepwater Tunnel Cape 3 Point and South Deepwater Tunnel blocks owned by AKE Energy and AGM. At a media briefing in Accra, Dr. Prempeh said consultants and investment banks in the natural resource sector are being engaged on the acquisition to ensure transparency and value for money.
Willing seller, willing buyer activity that has to go through a very, very transparent system to ensure that the seller doesn't overcharge. That has meant that a lot of entities, consultancies in the natural resource area are all employed to give them a view of that, including banks and investment banks that are into that area. So I know of Bank of America, ERC, all working on it. But what I can assure you is that their last meeting, they promised that all the reports will be available by the end of the month. And that scrutiny will be done by GNPC, so we can decide finally what stakes we want to acquire, both in the ACA field and in the AGM field. And I'm sure Ghanaians, Parliament will be fully appraised of what we are doing, and for that matter, Ghanaians will know. But it is in the light of improving our reserves so that the country gets more revenue. That is the underlying factor why we are buying.
We bring you some data on the national power generation. This is how we end the energy segment with Mabel Anna. Health news is up next.
Hello and welcome to the health segment brought to you by kind courtesy of Lufat. Men in Teshi and its environs will now have a sign of relief because the Lekma Hospital can now diagnose and treat prostate cancer. This follows a commitment from the Ghana Prostate Cancer Diagnostic Charity to invest in that area of healthcare at the facility. Reports point out that currently, out of every 3 men of 40 years and above in Ghana, 1 is at risk of prostate cancer.
The Lekma Hospital offers services in radiology, physiotherapy, ophthalmology and general OPD, with the exception of the treatment of prostate cancer. This is because the hospital has no urology unit to offer such services. As a result, patients with prostate cancer living within that area have to travel kilometers to access treatment. Now, the Ghana Prostate Cancer Diagnostic Charity, in agreement with management of Lekma Hospital, is funding the treatment of the disease. A board member of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Bernardo Koboy, who doubles as the board chair of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, welcomed the initiative.
If you go to Europe and the States, any institution you find that is very, very reputable, there is a trust or charity connected to it. The best hospitals have people and families who support them. And I'd like to encourage the hospital to have an account. Have an account. Make it the Friends of Lekma account. Let's find a way to have that account. Seek help how it can be arranged, such that you can give statements, account for what comes in, how it has been applied.
The founder of Ghana Prostate Cancer Diagnostic Charity, Madame Floris Taylor Aqua, emphasized that healthcare delivery is a shared responsibility.
The hope is that with this continuous support, the hospital will very quickly be able to set up the urology unit. Apart from this, the charity will supplement the seed money with a donation of 110 bed sheets and 90 pillowcases for the use on the male ward.
The Ghana Prostate Cancer Diagnostic Charity made a seed capital of 20,000 Ghana cedis to the hospital, while Dr. Bernardo Koboy also supported with 1,000 Ghana cedis.
A significant number of patients still report at the Tamale Teaching Hospital without health insurance or the ability to pay for medical services. The situation has compelled management to look for alternative resources such as donations to provide the health care needs. The situation sometimes often brings discomfort to management and staff of the facility. The Director of Medical Affairs at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Atiku Adam, revealed this when he received some medicines, including anti-malaria drugs from Bliss GVS Pharma Ghana.
The Tamale Teaching Hospital is the leading referral center in North Ghana. Due to its unique location, the hospital often sees clients from rural communities of the savannah. Most of these clients are poor, and in some instances, they report for health care services without health insurance or money. According to the Director of Medical Affairs of the hospital, Dr. Atiku Adam, the situation creates challenges for management and staff.
People come from our hinterlands and they are not insured and they are not the resource to buy their basic anti-malaria medications. So donations are to support them so that at the end of the year we will not be having children dying because of malaria.
As part of efforts to help the hospital provide utmost care for patients, Bliss GVS Pharma Ghana donated some medicines. The donation is towards the eradication of malaria in the region and across the country. The medical representative of Bliss GVS Pharma Ghana, Mr. Seidu Ibrahim Mumuni, retreated the company's commitment to fighting malaria. The rainy season has just begun and malaria is expected to peak at some point in the season, making the donation a timely intervention.
That's all in this segment brought to you by kind courtesy Lufat.
You're welcome back. The death toll in the South African